Hello everyone, this is Martin with Steadfast and Orion. I've been off of YouTube for a bit, but here we go again with these videos. I want to talk briefly about being the master of your own destiny in the transportation industry. I can tell you firsthand, I've been dispatching drivers for 18 years. Company drivers, owner-operators, and drivers who drive for somebody else in the 1099 role and in a W-2 role. So different ways for 18 years. And I'm going to tell you, it's the same thing in every trucking company, just different names, different faces. Period. You as an individual have to make a decision. You have to make a decision. What do I want to do in the transportation industry? Do you want to do local? Do you want to do over the road? Do you want to stay regional? But let me explain with a little bit more detail. There's a lot of times to where a person, not a driver, but a person reaches a certain plateau in their life to where, okay, I've had enough of this. I need to move on to the next thing. Some drivers get tired of containers and they want to learn flatbed. Some drivers get tired of flatbed and they want to learn containers. If you want to learn something new, you have to be patient enough to understand that if you don't know something, you're probably not going to make a lot of money right off the bat. It's nobody else's fault. It's just the way it is. I can dispatch you all day long with the easiest loads in the world with containers. But if you've never been inside the port, if you've never been inside the railroad, if you've never been inside a chassis yard or a container yard, you're going to be overwhelmed at the beginning. There's a process that everyone has to follow, I think, in transportation, no matter what side of the business you're in. You have to be patient. I can't tell you how many times drivers come to us ready to make money. They need to make money because they're behind on their bills. They're about to take away their house. They're about to take away their car. And their first week or 2 weeks of paychecks are not good. They expected them to be better. And then they quit because they ain't making enough money. And they need to make money because they're in a bind. I promise you, no amount of money in the world, no amount of dispatches in the world can help you catch up in a month. Just unless you do extravagant loads like heavy haul or just super loads, I don't see you making a tremendous amount of money in the first month. I just don't. Not with zero experience or very little experience in a specific aspect or a specific segment of the industry. Now, I've had situations to where drivers with zero experience just listen to us and they let us work them and they're successful within the matter of weeks, months, if that. And I've had drivers who are not open to listening to anyone. They think they know better. They choose what they want and they give it to somebody else. I don't want to do that. Or they leave early every day, or they come late every day, or they always have an emergency Monday through Friday. You should at least plan to work Monday through Friday at the bare minimum. Your schedule should be clean to go to work. This industry, the transportation industry, nowadays, a driver has more emergencies on Monday through Friday, in some cases, than they actually want to go to work. I promise you, nowadays, trucking companies sometimes have to work around the driver's hours, around the driver's personal time, because they have things that they set up throughout the day. Like I said a while back, there are some drivers that are owner-operators that should not be owner-operators. Because if you're an owner-operator, you are a business. A business is open pretty much 24/7. You answer your phone 24/7. In our business, we sleep with our phones next to the pillow. If a driver calls me at 2 in the morning, if a customer calls me at midnight, if a driver has a tire issue at 4:35 in the morning, I have to pick it up. And I have to figure out how to help them. nowadays, try calling a driver at 2 in the morning to pick up a load that another driver couldn't complete or broke down. It's rare to find a driver that answers the phone at that time. Rare, especially if they're in cities and they're local drivers or regional drivers. Their day starts when they get to the yard. Now, not all of them, but mind you, how much money do you want to make in transportation? Because the people who don't work that hard, I can tell you how much money they make. They make between $500 to $1,000 to $500 to $1,200 a week take home. Owner operators, the ones who don't work too hard. Company drivers that don't work too hard, they make between $500 to $800 take home. After insurance, after taxes, the ones that are right there. Now the hard workers in company drivers will make about $1,200 to $2,000. The hard workers in the owner operator side will make about $2,000 and goes on up depending on whatever they want to do. A lot of times, drivers don't want to work weekends, Saturdays or Sundays. As a business owner, you're going to work weekends. If you want to be in brokerage, if you want to be in transportation of any kind, and you only want to work Monday through Friday from 8 to 3, 8 to 2, your level of success is going to be limited. And you have to be willing to sacrifice something. And not a lot of people are willing to sacrifice anything. Like I said, some people are not willing to work weekends. Some people don't want to work nights. Some people are okay with 2 loads a day. Some people are okay with 8, 10 loads a week. And that's okay if they're okay with that. If they can survive off that. But not every driver can. And it's not the dispatcher's responsibility to keep you busy. It is your job as a truck driver to keep yourself busy. You know how many times I've dispatched drivers for a load and they're at home at 7 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, they're still in bed? 18 years ago when I started in this industry, every truck driver that I called at 7:15, 7:30 in the morning was already at their truck, already pre-tripped, ready to go. Nowadays, it's difficult. A lot of drivers don't do a proper pre-trip or post-trip, yet how much does the load pay? A lot of drivers honestly don't have tools in their truck, yet how much does the load pay? A lot of drivers don't understand the rules and the regulations, yet how much does the load pay? A lot of trucking companies don't even know that. A lot of trucking companies are doing hazardous material loads and they have zero clue on actually booking and dispatching hazardous material loads. Yet, the drivers that do loads for those type of companies think that those companies are correct in the way that they're operating. So when they go to a trucking company that's actually doing things the right way, they don't like it sometimes because they were used to doing it the other way. The other way is the correct way. And in some cases, they're wrong. There's a lot of people in transportation that honestly do not know what they're doing. I'm online putting myself out there for people to just blast me if I'm lying or if I'm telling the truth. Quite frankly, I don't care. I'm hoping to help someone. If I can help one person with these videos, I've done my job. Because I've seen drivers time and time again lose their houses, lose their trucks because of a lack of responsibility from their part and a lack of knowledge also from their part. Because no one taught them, no one talked to them about them, no one showed them how to properly do something. A lot of times you have drivers that talk to other drivers and they ask other drivers for information. They ask other drivers for help, for assistance, for advice. You know how many drivers honestly don't know what they're talking about? A bunch. And they're giving advice. I know a bunch of drivers who have zero clue on what they're doing in transportation, yet they're giving other drivers advice. And in some cases, they charge them for advice. A lot of people on Facebook, a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of people on LinkedIn are charging people for dispatch courses, a dispatch mastery course. That to me, that's stealing from people. There's no amount of time that is going to teach you dispatch. None. All the videos I will ever do will be for free. Because there's nothing that you're going to learn from me in 1 hour or in 30 minutes that can possibly show you the whole entire industry. And then to charge you $1,000, $2,000, $500 for a course, when I know what's going to happen behind the scenes after you take the course. Sure, I made my $2,000 as a dispatch mastery professor, teacher, but you're going to lose $2,000 next week because you didn't know that MSC used DCLI, you shouldn't have used track, and the empty container should have been returned to Cooper's, it should have been returned to Bayport. Now you're going to have to go pick it up empty from Cooper's and take it to Bayport, and you're going to pay $250 because the steamship line is going to tell you to go get it. If not, you're going to get fined. If not, you're not going to be able to pull a container out for MSC. I mean, there's from CMA, MSC, APL, Maersk, Zim, Evergreen, Costco, UAL, CSAV, Hyundai, One Line, Jacinoport, Seaboard Marine. There's a lot of them that you have to know about. And I will talk to you guys about every single thing that I know about in this industry for free. Because I was there. People would give me crappy advice and I would follow it and it would just bite me in the butt. So I learned not to go to those people for advice anymore. It took a lot of trial and error before we actually found out who to go to and who was going to give you the right advice. Because there's a lot of greedy people out there who don't want to see you successful, who want to see you worse off than you are right now. And that's a fact. In the transportation industry, you're going to meet a lot of cutthroat people. Drivers, dispatchers, trucking companies, business owners, name it. There's a lot of bad people in this industry. But once you get to know who the bad people are, you remove yourself from those people and you do the right thing for you, your family, and your business. But you have to listen to someone. You can't keep going on the transportation industry by yourself thinking you know everything. It's impossible to know everything. A lot of drivers think that they know everything. They don't. They know a lot about their truck and the trucking aspect of their job. But about what we do internally in the office, they have very little idea in some cases. And it is our job to make sure that we portray that the best way possible to help them. Like, I don't want to tell a driver, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what you're doing. Get over there. Get the hell out of here. That's not how we do it. In the meantime, when I try to tell a driver when he tells me something and the driver's wrong, I'm like, no, man, I'll see what I can do, but I don't think that's accurate. I'll figure that out. I'll look into it for you, but I don't think that's right. But in the meantime, let's do it this way. And then you can figure out if it works or it doesn't work or whatever it is that you're working on. But a lot of times, truck drivers need that assurance from somebody that knows what they're doing, that knows what they're talking about. And if you're a dispatcher and you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're doing, and you're giving loads out to drivers that are actually out there on the roads with public, be careful. Educate yourself on the dispatches that you're handing out to drivers. Don't just hand out a hazmat dispatch without having any hazmat experience. The driver's not the only one that has to have a hazardous endorsement. You as a dispatcher, you have to know what you're dispatching. That way, in case of an emergency, you know how to respond. I've known dispatchers to leave the office after a situation that turned bad. I've known dispatchers to cry and get fired, quit, because of something that they didn't know how to fix. That is an easy fix. It's dispatch 101. I've seen drivers take the bad end of the stick because the dispatcher didn't know what they were properly dispatching, or dispatching properly, I'm sorry. And I've seen drivers put the dispatchers in a shitty position because they don't know what they're doing. You know how many times drivers call me asking me what type of chassis do I use for this steamship line? And we do this daily, and you still have to remind the driver, oh, you use a track lease with Hapag-Lloyd. You still have to remind drivers of that. And they do it daily. Daily. But if something goes wrong, they want somebody to blame. It's easier to blame the dispatcher than to blame themselves. So you have to know how you're dispatching, who you're dispatching, and how the hell you're dispatching them, honestly, how you're dispatching them. Do they have a 20-foot chassis? Do they have a 40-foot chassis? Do they have a DCLI? Do they have a track? Are they going to Bayport? Are they going to Barber's Cut? Are they going to this container yard? Are they going to that container yard? Can I reuse the same chassis at the same spot he's dropping off? Is it going to be a drop and hook? If it's a drop and hook, the one he's picking up, is it a hazmat container or is it a regular container? Is it pre-advised? Is the first receivable date good? Is the cutoff date good? Is the container at the port set up for a high cube, not a standard? Is it set up for a 20, not a 40? Does the empty come out of Barber's Cut and the load goes back to Bayport? Or does the load come out of Bayport and the empty goes back to Barber's Cut? Or does the empty come out of Barber's Cut and go back to, and once it's returned loaded, it goes back to Barber's Cut? So there's a lot of things that you need to understand about the trucking industry. Containers is one side, flatbeds another side, dry vans another side, LTLs another side. I can talk to you guys about all of them. I'm not an expert in all of them, but I know enough to survive, and I know enough to defend myself with transportation when it comes to that. It's not rocket science, I promise you. If I'm doing it, anybody can dispatch and anybody can be in trucking. Don't ever think that you as a dispatcher, you're beneath anybody else. Or you as a driver, you're beneath anybody else, because you're not. Don't ever talk to anybody like they're beneath you. As a dispatcher and as a driver, everyone has to have respect. Period. End of story. If there's a driver that's disrespectful, just like there's a dispatcher that's disrespectful, they need to go. There is no room, there is no place for disrespectful people in the workplace, in my opinion. Doesn't matter how long a person has been at an organization, there's absolutely no room for disrespect. Every problem has a solution except avoiding death. Every problem can be talked about. Every problem can be solved. No one knows more than anybody else. I hope you guys, watch the whole entire video. I'll definitely be posting more like this. We're hiring owner-operators in Houston, so if you're interested, you got your own truck and at least 12 months of driving experience, we're here to help. Thank you guys for watching.